Long ago, in a quiet pond, surrounded by tall grass and lilies, a community of frogs lived happily. The water was fresh, the insects were plenty, and the sun often cast a warm glow across the surface. But despite their comfort, the frogs began to feel restless. One evening, as the fireflies twinkled above the pond and the crickets chirped their nightly songs, the frogs gathered together. They sat on the lily pads, their eyes reflecting the soft light, and they talked and talked. "We have no leader," one frog sighed, breaking the silence. "No king to rule us. We live freely," another added, "but maybe too freely." There was a murmur of agreement. "Without a king, we have no order, no greatness. If only we had a ruler like humans do." The idea hung in the air, taking root in their minds. The chatter grew louder each day. Some frogs argued, "We don't need anyone. We are doing fine." But others croaked, "No, we must have a king, a strong ruler to guide us. To Haiba, Haslawus, make us important." Finally, their voices rose to the heavens, and they prayed to the great gods of the sky. They begged, "Please, give us a king to rule over us." The frogs sat patiently for many days, watching the clouds drift by, wondering when their wish would come true. But the gods were busy with matters beyond their pond. They didn't hear the frogs' small voices. So the frogs grew impatient. They started to chant, louder now, demanding the gods to fulfill their wish. As their voices rose, a young, inexperienced god heard their pleas. He had just begun his duties and wanted to impress the more senior gods. So he took on the frog's request as his own. "I will show the others how powerful I am," he declared. He looked down at the frogs. In his eyes, they seemed tiny, their wishes insignificant. But he needed to prove himself, and so he decided to grant the frogs a wish. From the sky, he dropped a massive log into the pond. The splash was so big that the frogs leaped out of the water in fear, hiding among the reeds. When the pond grew still, they peeked out. The giant log floated silently on the water. At first, they bowed down, whispering, "Here is our king." But soon they realized the truth. The log did nothing. It didn't move, didn't speak, didn't command. Slowly, the frogs grew bold. They hopped onto the log. They jumped over it. They croaked and laughed, saying, "Our king is lazy. He just lies there, like a fool." The pond was filled with jokes, and they mocked their new ruler every day. Disappointed, the frogs once again prayed to the gods. "Great ones, we asked for a king, but you gave us this useless log. Please, give us a real king, a strong ruler who will make us respect authority." This time, the gods grew impatient. "You want a true king, very well. But remember, be careful what you ask for." They sent down a stork. The bird swooped into the pond with a sharp beak and piercing eyes. At first, the frogs were thrilled. Finally, a powerful king. "Estans tal. It looks wise. Now we will have order." But the joy did not last long. The stork bent its neck, snatched up a frog, and swallowed it whole. The pond went silent. Fear spread among the frogs as the stork continued to feast. Day after day, the new king hunted them, turning their home into a place of terror. The frogs cried out, "Please, O gods, save us. This king is cruel. He eats us instead of guiding us." But the gods did not answer. Their lesson had been given. The frogs learned too late that life without a king had been freedom, not chaos. Their wish for power and order had brought them destruction. So the story ends with a warning that has echoed through time. Be careful what you wish for. Sometimes the freedom you take for granted is greater than the rule you ask for. And that's the story of the frogs who desired a king. Remember, stories like this carry timeless lessons. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories every week. Now, my little friends, I've got a question for you. What do you think the frogs would have done differently if they could go back in time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And for those of you who are curious about where I find these amazing stories, let me tell you, My grandma always used to tell me stories before bedtime. She would take me on adventures with magical fairies, clever foxes, and even silly frogs. And you know what? I learned so much from those stories. Every lesson, every adventure stayed with me like a good friend. That's why now I love to share these stories with all of you. Now, let's talk about today's story. Have you ever wished for something so hard that you didn't stop to think about the consequences? Well, the frogs in today's story did just that. They wanted a king so badly that they didn't think about what kind of king they were asking for. And you know what happened next? They ended up with a stork as their king. Who wouldn't that be scary? So the next time you wish for something, remember to think about the consequences, just like the frogs should have done. And now it's time for a super special part of our story time. You see, sharing stories isn't just about the stories themselves. It's about the connection we make while listening to them. And to make our story time even more special, I want to hear about you. So here's what you can do. Grab a piece of paper and write down your name. Draw a picture of your favorite character from the story, or even write down a favorite part. Then click the link in the description and upload your masterpiece. I promise to take a look at every single one, and who knows, maybe yours will even be featured in an upcoming video. And hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Liking shows that you love the stories. Sharing lets us reach more children like you. And subscribing means you'll never miss out on our weekly adventures. So keep being you, the curious, kind, and amazing kid that you are. And I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, every wish comes with a choice, every adventure comes with a lesson, and every story leaves a little magic in our hearts. Keep believing in the magic, my little friends, because the world is full of wonders waiting for you to discover them.